Welcome to Dreadful Digest, where we look at your favorite horror novels and rip apart their adaptations. I'm one of your hosts, Tessa Nelson.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm Sam.
Okay. I'm Michael. Hello. It's me.
And these are my two hosts that don't know what they're doing. Apparently.
I thought we were going 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh.
So
But-
I
you're
thought I would be
wrong.
last because okay. I'm wrong.
Why would you be last?
As per usual, I'm wrong. Let's just get used to that.
No, it's okay. We'll switch names next time so that way it
Oh, that makes
yeah.
sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you Sam and you...
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Today we're covering Misery, an absolute classic, a banger written by Stephen King in 1978 and made into a movie in 1990. So I want to ask you guys a couple questions before we get into the behind the scenes. And that is, what's your history with Stephen King?
You want to start?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
have a history
I
with
actually
you?
do have history with
Then go
Stephen
for it.
King,
You
which
guys
is
like
weird.
were together in like the 70s and it's like
Yeah,
a whole
well,
thing.
you know, I used to hang out with him in Maine. Sorry.
Is he from Maine?
Dude, that's like his thing.
Is that
He's
his
from
thing?
Maine. He makes it his whole personality.
It's also at the
Spoilers
end,
for
it's
my
literally at the
history.
end
There
of
is
the
none.
book. It says it talks about Maine at the end of the like.
Does it?
Well, at least
He
in my
listens
copy
to
it did.
audiobooks.
Yeah, I listen to
so
audiobooks.
he doesn't
Oh, okay.
pay attention to anything.
I can't
Okay.
read.
You're gonna struggle here, right?
That's why I got the audiobooks, baby. All right, anyways, go ahead.
No, I read my first Stephen King book in high school, and that was On Writing, which was a weird one to read because, like, I read the book he wrote about how he writes before reading any of his books.
Interesting.
I don't remember like anything from that book because, you know, I probably should, but like, I just, you know, it was a great read for what I was doing. I read The Shining a few years later, like my freshman year of college. A very kind person that I met at school before the pandemic lent me a copy of The Shining, which I have no idea where she is, but I still have that copy.
Wow.
And
You're that person.
yeah, shout out. I don't know her name either, but you know, again, it was
God.
pre-pandemic. It was a different life. And then
It was
Misery.
okay to steal back then.
Exactly. Anyway, so I read The Shining.
Yeah.
That was a great book, by the way. I hope we do an episode about The
We
Shining.
will. Definitely.
Also, like in Misery, they like mention The Shining.
They do.
They
which
do.
we'll
I
get into
loved
that.
Stephen King's cinematic universe, but SKC. So I read that book, and then now I read Misery. So this is my third Stephen King book. Not my third Stephen King movie. I watched a lot of his movie adaptations, but he has opinions about his movie adaptations, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my history with Stephen King.
Sweet. And you don't have anything.
Yeah, my history is I've listened to Misery and I've watched the film.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. Oh no, well, do movies count with Stephen
Yeah.
King?
Yeah.
I've seen the two most recent It films.
Oh, okay.
Shockingly, in my
Wow.
very limited amount of horror films that I've seen, which we'll get into. I've seen the two It movies like last year.
I haven't seen the second one.
That's
Are we gonna
fine.
do it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
100%.
We should
I've
do
heard some
it.
interesting things about the It novel.
Oh, yeah. There's like a turtle alien.
Yeah.
That
There's
sounds
like
sick.
an orgy.
Yes. Those are the two interesting things that I've heard.
That's
And
the
you
only
nailed them
interesting thing.
immediately. You
I'm
got
very
both of them.
intrigued to try to read
I just know
that.
it's like a huge novel, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
apparently.
just
Yeah.
a fever dream. I think he probably was on something, allegedly, when he was writing that. Because I don't know how you would come up with some of the things he did.
Steven, if you're listening,
Can you
I'll have what you're
fact
having.
check this, Stephen? Can you fact check this? Yeah, so I read Stephen King in high school. I had a Stephen King phase, as most horror fans eventually do. And yeah, I read this my senior year of high school. I remember reading it specifically in my film class and like gasping at some of the things. So you can get jump scared while reading a book.
That's true.
Yeah. And yeah, some of his books are very hit or miss for me. This is definitely a hit for me. We'll get into my issues. We'll get into my problems with his writing. But yeah, were you guys familiar with the story at all prior?
I should
Or-
have mentioned I did watch the movie before reading the book. I watched the movie a few years ago because I'm more of a movie buff than I am reading the adaptations until right now. So I went through a phase of trying to watch a ton of horror movies, and also just like movies that I heard were really good. I guess it's what I'm still doing. I'm still just trying to watch everything that I hear is really good. But yeah, I watched Misery like back in high school because my dad showed it to me, and also because I'm literally blanking on her name right now. What's the actress's name that plays Annie?
Oh, Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So my dad was just like showing me Kathy Bates stuff, and
Interesting.
well, because she's also an American Horror Story, and so in like a few different seasons. Anyway, point is I watched the movie back in high school, and I thought it was really good.
You liked it in high school.
Yes, I was surprised by how like simple and straightforward it is, and that carries over. When we watched it like together a few weeks ago, I was like, this is a really like beat by beat straightforward narrative. I think
Yes.
in terms of like horror stories, it doesn't really like it's a very straightforward story, you know, and that's my history with Misery.
Okay. Had you heard of it prior to this or no?
Oh yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
you're
yeah, I've heard of
familiar.
Misery.
What have you heard about it?
That people really, really loved it, and well, they really loved Kathy Bates in it.
Yes.
That's mostly what I'd heard. Other than that, I believe when I was like little, I had seen the scene where she like smashes his like ankle.
Do we need to do like
Hobbling?
spoilers warning? The beginning of all these podcasts.
Oh yeah.
I guess.
Is there an assumed spoilers warning?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
like read the book or watch the movie.
We'll
prior
edit
to
that in
this.
post. I'll go spoiler.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, you'll do your little sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I assume people that aren't familiar with this will not listen to this.
Probably not. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you know, spoilers for the rest of the episode.
Spoilers. Big spoilers.
I mean,
Yeah,
some
anyway.
people like listening without actually watching it because it's spooky.
That is true. So,
So,
like, you know, be warned. You're gonna
yeah,
hear
we're gonna
about-
talk about it and we're gonna reveal something.
But you heard about the hobbling.
Yes. I don't know where I had seen that scene. This movie came out in what, the
1990?
1990.
1990. So there's no way. I was thinking maybe in my head I had seen it at like the Oscars or something. Maybe they played it at the Oscars for some bit later on.
Probably.
Maybe.
'Cause I don't know where I would have just
It's
seen
iconic. It's
Yeah.
like in the most like literal definition of
Which
iconic.
is wild to me.
Like the hobbling specifically.
No, the fact that this movie's iconic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just gives me straight to TV movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It
This is
does.
the vibe
Well,
I get from
I
it.
think we'll get into it more. It did feel a bit just like a really long Twilight Zone kind of
Yeah.
episode.
I think that's
which I
because
kinda
there's
liked.
not like, well, you know, in the movie they do introduce a B plot, but like at least in the book it feels like there's really just one plot. And I
Yes.
feel like well, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but I feel like that might be more common in TV movies where it is a very straightforward, there's one A story, doesn't really get out of that. Which the movie definitely leans into and the book also leans into. I see that though, about like why you would think that.
Yeah. And I think just the cinematically how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
It's very flat almost.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very simply shot, pretty much all
And
the
that's
way
fine.
through.
And
Yeah.
you know, do what you gotta
You
do.
know-
If it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, those are my questions to start us off.
Okay.
Let's dive into the book. Let's do a little factoids, all
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the book was published in 1978. King has stated that Annie is a stand-in for cocaine, which I could definitely see that being the case.
Can you elaborate on that?
He said, Annie was my drug problem, and she was my #1 fan. God, she never wanted to leave. So
Okay.
that's
That's so interesting.
what he said. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, drug addiction is very much intertwined in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
there in
that
a
makes
literal
sense.
sense.
I
For
believe
sure.
you said something about that, like when we first, I think when we met up to watch the movie. You said something about like how, oh yeah, obviously it was like a metaphor for drug addiction.
Yeah,
And
I remember you mentioning
I
that.
didn't catch that at all. Embarrassingly enough, I didn't catch that in the book, like as I was listening to it at all. I didn't even pick up on that, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah, I was putting a way more modern lens to the book and the movie when I was watching it. I definitely thought it was way more about like parasocial relationships than I thought it
Yes.
was going to be. Yeah, which makes sense because like as readers in current year, that's a way more of a prominent thing, I guess, and also in our age group than I assume coke addiction in the 80s was probably more
Probably very prominent.
rampant, yeah, than it
Yeah.
is. So you know, it I mean that just speaks to I think the quality of both pieces of media that it's able to be interpreted in different ways. But that is really cool that he was able to do that, I think, to create a character like that.
I love how you mentioned that, you know, you can interpret things differently throughout time. And it just shows that misery is still relevant today.
So true. You should read Misery.
So true.
Next factoid. Reviewers praised King for avoiding the fantasy elements of his past work. So this book is very much centered and grounded in reality compared to his other stuff. And I think that's why I like it so much, because as a horror fan, I kind of am more drawn into stories that are human on human violence, weirdly enough. Like, that sounds weird, but I don't know how else to say it.
Well, even like as opposed to like paranormal.
Exactly.
Or, like,
did you guys notice that this has like no fantasy elements? I mean, you haven't read a lot of his other stuff.
This
so.
is like my first real go with a Stephen King book. I guess I hadn't really thought about it because my other one is It.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously that one is very fantastical, has a lot of crazy, kooky, wacky things in it. So I have just 2 examples of his work, so I didn't really pick up on like, oh, this one's real. I mean, I noticed it, but I wasn't like, this is weird for him.
Mm-hmm.
He never does this. I didn't think about that at all.
Sure.
For you, both of you who've read or experienced more of his stuff is like very fantastical, very supernatural.
I would think so. I've read Carrie, Pet Sematary, started It, The Mist, and yeah, all of those are fantastical.
The Mist is a Stephen King?
Mm-hmm. It's a short story.
I'm thinking about the same Mist, right? The one with the movie that Frank Darabont made, right?
I don't know the director.
Oh, the guy who did The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, in the grocery store?
Yes.
Yes,
That's
that's
a Stephen
Stephen
King?
King. Mm-hmm.
Never
It's one of
mind.
my favorites, yeah.
Never mind, I got another one.
There you go. There you go.
He's dropping bang. This Stephen King guy, he's not bad.
He's kind of popular.
He-
I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, he makes
He's
some
maybe
good
a little
stuff.
too underground for you.
I'm glad we can have this platform to really put people on to Stephen King. I feel like not a lot of people know about him.
We're just elevating
Yeah.
him. So, one of Stephen King's inspirations for Misery was the reaction his fans had to his 1984 novel, The Eyes of the Dragon, because it was an epic fantasy book and had no horror. Paul Sheldon, feeling chained to the Misery books by his fans, was a metaphor for King's feelings of being chained to the horror fiction. So, I can definitely see his frustration in this book.
Oh, yeah.
Being chained to horror. That's very prevalent.
It's true. You know, when I was reading this is stepping a little bit out of horror, and can I just say a hot take? It's like
Ooh, hot take
unprovoked.
time.
Hot take.
Hey, well, everybody, this is the hot take segment.
I have never
We're
read
just
a book.
introducing.
I have well, hold on. I have read a book. I have never read a book by Colleen Hoover, but if
Fair.
I did, I would think she would relate to Misery, because I feel like in terms of how her fans react to her novels and like the style that she puts out, you know, and that's not anti-Colleen Hoover, by the way, because I haven't read any of her work, so there's nothing for me to be anti on. But like when I think of like a very popular author right now who like you can go to their work reliably for a certain tone or a certain like genre, I think of her. And I don't know, that is so prominent in the book about feeling like chained and being pigeonholed in a certain direction. And I don't know, I just think that's another thing that makes it like a little timeless, is that it doesn't matter if it's Stephen King, it doesn't matter if it's a different author or different media entirely, but like being forced in one direction is so easy to happen to artists. But I also think especially horror. Like, I know I just talked about somebody that isn't horror, but like, you know, I think it's easy for a lot of creators to be like put in horror when they make one horror movie, because it's like an easy, not easy, I don't want to say that, people work very hard, but it's considered easy to like get into their respective industries. And I can see his frustrations, I guess. That's all I'm trying to say, is that like I understand that factoid, and it's very prominent in the actual literary work, how much she's like, oh my god, can't believe I have to keep writing Misery. Like, oh my god, I hate her.
I hate her.
That's just what I was thinking when I was reading it. So I'm reading this and I'm like, wonder what Colleen Hoover thinks about this.
I want her hot take.
I want her take on Misery.
We actually have Colleen Hoover in the studio. Come in, Colleen. No, but like what you were talking about, like how I definitely didn't know about that he made like a fantasy thing.
Yeah.
But
that's news to me.
it was like the clearest thing in the world that he obviously, all that stuff, the opinions that Paul Sheldon has are like stand-ins for
Oh, yeah.
what Stephen King is
Oh,
feeling.
very clearly.
I just didn't know about what, but
Wait,
I was
can
like,
you hand me the book?
Oh, sure.
a visual moment for our viewers. Oh my god.
Quick visual moment.
Well, otherwise we're just talking. Okay, I just wonder. Can I just read something in the beginning of the book? It's related.
Read it.
It just
Yeah,
says
yeah,
wait, let me find it. This is what it is. Stephen King is arguably the most popular novelist in the history of American fiction. He owes his fans a love letter. Misery is it. Did it say that in your audiobook?
I think it.
Damn.
I just like that's the perfect way to describe misery because like you're right. You so feel like King's voice through the very thin metaphor of like Paul Sheldon.
Especially there will be like portions of the book where it'll say like, oh yeah, Paul will be like talking about like, yeah, I did a bunch of research on this really niche thing.
Yeah.
One like for weeks, and it's like clearly this is Stephen King being like, yeah, this one time for a book I had to do all this research, and he's just putting it on Paul Sheldon. But it's really great because it's like it really feels like Stephen King is talking to you for like a lot of
Giving
it.
us the middle finger.
Yeah.
It's a love letter.
Just totally going away from the symbolism and the theming of the story, King mentioned that he had originally planned for Annie to force her prisoner to write a book, and then she would bind that book in Paul's skin.
Oh, that's fun.
That's
kinda
crazy.
cool.
Would you have liked to see that?
Well, I really did
What a
root
question.
for Paul. It's like throughout the book, like there really isn't any moment where I'm like, I hate this guy.
I
You know what I
want
mean?
him dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like I don't know that I would have liked that ending. I do think that would have definitely leaned into the horror of it. We are lucky to have a pretty happy ending, I think. In
Very
terms of how it resolves.
Necronomicon of him.
Yeah.
No, I think it actually really is impressive because Paul is not like a cool dude either.
No.
But you do root for him the whole time.
Because he's such a victim.
Yeah, he's in like an insane situation, even though he's like kind of a piece of shit. And they spend a lot of it like telling you he is just kind of a piece of shit and his life sucks. But like, no, I want to see this dude win because he is in a terrible spot. So it's impressive he can do both. He's not cool, but I want him to win.
Yeah.
I do love, like, obviously, like you said, Paul Sheldon is a stand for King. And the fact that he's just like, yeah, down on my luck. I have 2 divorces. I'm a kind of a player, though. He has to mention that.
Yeah,
He's, like, great with the women. I'm like, okay, King, sure you are. Sure you are, my guy. And then fun fact, there's another version of Annie Wilkes.
Oh.
Do you know from what?
No.
No.
What do you mean? Another
There's
version? Like an
another
alternate dimension?
actress who plays Annie Wilkes.
Oh.
Huh?
Wait.
Oh, this is great. What do you
I
got?
mind you. I feel like it's on the tip of your tongue.
Well, it sounds really familiar. I just say it.
Okay. Annie Wilkes is also portrayed by Lizzie Kaplan, the main character in the 2nd season of Castle Rock. Do you guys know about Castle Rock?
Yes.
No.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Should
Big
I
shocker.
explain?
Big surprise. No, I don't know about that.
No is going to be your answer to everything I
Yeah.
ask. So Castle Rock is basically the Stephen King cinematic universe, where it's a TV show that combines his different novels
No way.
into one show. And Bill Skarsgård is in the 1st season, which is
Oh.
I forget who he plays. Not Pennywise. But yeah, so Annie Wilkes is the main character in the 2nd season.
Okay.
She has a daughter, which is played by Elsie Fisher, who is in the
Whoa.
movie that we're going to cover next.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, my God,
Everything is
dude.
intertwined.
Dude.
And I did not intend for
The
that to
horror
happen.
community.
I know. It's popping. All right. Let's dive into some facts about the film.
Okay.
So Misery was released in 1990, directed by Rob Reiner. Stephen King sold the rights to Reiner for only $1 since he liked the director's adaptation of Stand By Me.
Man, what a cool dude.
That's
That's
crazy.
amazing.
I know.
Stephen King, I would love to work with you. Anything you want to give me for, $1, any of your literary works.
Anything?
No. Any of your literary works. Caught that one. But I was like, no. $1. That's wild. That's sick. What an artist.
What a king.
Loves the people.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Oh. Were you saving that one? Did you write that one
No,
down?
I
Is that
literally,
in your
I
notes?
said it and I was like, wait a second.
Dude,
Okay.
good one. Zinger.
So, obviously, this movie received a lot of positive reviews, was a box office success. Kathy Bates' performance even won her an Oscar for Best Actress at the 63 Academy Awards, and Misery is the only film based on a Stephen King novel to win an Oscar.
Really?
Congratulations, Mr. King.
Congrats.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah, and King himself has even stated that Misery is one of his top 10 film adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
He's very particular, as we will get into.
Hmm.
Does not like some movies, and he will say it straight up on Twitter.
Well, I think he's earned that.
Yeah.
Not to like bow down before Stephen King or anything, but I think, when you have such an impact on pop culture, you get to have a dialogue with pop culture, especially I know this week isn't about The Shining, but, he had a lot of opinions about The Shining, and, that's okay.
So let's get into one of the main differences, all right? So in the original novel, Annie Wilkes obviously uses an axe to cut off his foot.
Yes.
Reiner insisted that it be changed, that she only breaks his ankle.
I have to say about that whole thing, sorry, I know you're reading, but
No, you're good.
to intercept on that point, in watching the movie, no disrespect, Mr. Reiner, but when I was watching it, I never understood what the hobbling was, because I was like, I understand that she's breaking his ankle, but it's in the book, he is screwed. It makes sense what she's doing. He cannot run away. In the movie, I'm like, but ankles heal, don't they?
Yeah.
Why can't his ankle just heal and he runs away? I never just to critique the logic of it. I do think the book was a lot more effective in terms of what the operation was. In watching the movie, I was like, I don't know. Did you feel that way or do you disagree?
I guess I kind of agree. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I'll get into why he made that decision.
Oh,
in a
okay.
sec.
My bad.
No.
Me just
No.
disagreeing before. I hated that.
You're good.
No, I kind of agree with you, but I guess the implication is she would just do it again. What would be stopping her from
but
just...
then why do that? Just cut off his foot. That's
One
what
and
they do
done.
in the book.
Get it
I
over
guess.
with.
Yeah.
I guess I understand.
Anyway, why did he do it?
The reason that he wanted to depict this instead of an amputation is because an amputation would make people hate Annie instead of sympathizing with her, which, I've never once sympathized with her.
No.
And not even after the hobbling scene did I sympathize with her.
That is so interesting about the sympathy with Annie, because in reading the book, I do sympathize with her in certain parts. And I think that's because in the book, and I don't know if this is in your notes of things we're going to cover, but in the book, her depressive episodes are a lot more visceral than it is in the movie, I think. So in reading the book, I did sympathize with Annie. And watching the movie, I don't know, I felt more like I understood what was going on than I sympathized with her,
Exactly. Yeah, I never once was ooh, I feel bad for you. Yeah, so that wasn't very effective for me personally.
I will say the movie does go out of its way, way more than the book, to make Annie more sympathetic. She's she's nicer in the movie.
Yes.
She's not as insane as she is in the book, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, that was one of my notes about the differences is that let me find it. Annie at the beginning of the movie is a lot more trustworthy. You're
Yes.
oh, I could see her potentially helping this guy.
That's true.
But in the book, she's immediately off-putting.
Yeah.
Literally from the
Immediately.
first, when he wakes up and with the breath and stuff, you just
Oh, yeah.
you're immediately
Oh, yeah. Yes. I
not
forgot about
this
that.
person. Yeah, that's obviously not how the
Yeah, the
film
book never
begins.
portrays her as good,
No.
ever. Right from the jump, this is a bad situation.
But the book does give her, I think, more range than the movie does. I feel
Yes.
she's a little more flat in the movie, which is fine because, she is... But she's a very complicated character, and I think the movie was able to do what they were able to do with that. But in the book, there is a lot more of, experiencing how unwell this person really is and, the pendulum swings of being around Annie than compared to the movie. I didn't really feel that as much, at least in my viewing.
Yeah, just how she was portrayed at the beginning is the only thing I'll give the movie credit for, and I did prefer being oh, maybe there's a little bit of hope here. That's the only credit I'll give the movie, I think, over the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, it's been a while since we watched it. How does it begin with Annie in the movie?
She's very helpful to him and giving him food and making him feel comfortable.
yeah.
She just seemed sweeter,
Yeah.
even if it
and
was
the movie, I
not.
think, intends for that to be played straight. that is not, at least from what I could tell when I was watching the movie, it seems that the movie is implying that is not like a facade.
Right. We're supposed to believe that she is like that.
She is like a genuinely nice person. She's just a little kooky.
A little wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that is genuine. And the book I think more portrays that as like, no, this is like that's all fake. She is like not fake, but I don't know how to explain it. There's a lot more
it's
bad
complicated
stuff under the surface. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she believes in herself. Like she does think she's doing the right thing, sort of.
Yes.
But also it's very difficult to interpret it that way. But the movie in general, I think, makes a lot more creative choices that are effective for a visual medium compared to the book. And that's like obviously the nature of an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it is different for those reasons. I understand why. I get it.
When you were mentioning they kind of made her a little more flat in the movie, one of the things I felt like I really missed out on, because she is played more straight, like kind of nice, there were these moments in the books that are like my favorite, where both of them kind of just drop the act and she's just totally willing to be like, yeah, I'm crazy. And he's like, yeah, and I hate you. Those are my favorite moments in the book, where they kind of just like banter about the horrible shit that she's doing.
And it seems realistic, I feel like. 'Cause,
Yes.
like, and I mean, when I was reading those scenes, like especially like at the end where he says something like, you're a bitch, and she's like, I'm a crazy bitch.
Yes,
and like
yeah.
that part, like I got like goosebumps where like when I was reading that, where I was just like, what is going on? And like it's so weird, but like it makes sense. And they don't have those moments in the film.
No.
Yeah. Anytime she would like just go stone face and like blank and like forget what she was talking about. One, I relate. Two, I was like, that is the most scary part of this book.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The fact that she just like for like minutes at a time will just like be dead almost. I don't know. It was, that was pretty trippy. So Paul Sheldon, we haven't talked about this guy that much.
This guy.
But this guy over here. This role was offered to so many people before it was given to
Oh my gosh, yes, can we please
the
talk about
guy that we got.
The man, the myth, the legend, the father from Elf.
The man we
Which is also that's the other biggest movie that I know him from, of course.
the only thing I know him from.
Elf? Not no, you're saying Misery. Or no,
From
Elf and Misery.
Yeah, I did not know.
Well, it's funny
See, I
because he
can't even
kind of
remember
plays
his name.
Like they just look at this man and they're like, that guy has a literary face. Like he belongs in a publishing office
an
or as a
author.
writer. That man is a writer, and you know I should probably watch his other movies and confirm that theory.
Can I tell you a weird thing that it's only me? I like somehow Mandela affected myself. For the longest time in my head, the guy who was playing Paul Sheldon in the movie was the main character from Shawshank Redemption, the main actor from that.
Really?
Haven't seen it.
Oh, you never seen it?
Nope.
Dude,
Did you know that
I
he's
don't
in
know.
The Godfather?
Which one? Who?
Oh,
Paul.
icon.
Paul-
What's his name?
No,
What's
James-
the actor's name?
Yeah, let's
James-
get say
Not Paul. James Caan.
James Caan. Okay.
He's in The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2.
Good for him. Okay, so this role, Paul Sheldon, was offered to William Hurt, Kevin Kline, Michael Douglas, Harrison Ford.
Whoa.
That would have been really cool. I would have loved to see
Wow.
that. Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro,
Sick.
Al
Whoa.
Pacino.
Did you say
Whoa.
Pacino?
Try again. It's okay.
We
try
can
one more
We can
time.
cut that. Don't worry about that. Just-
No, wait.
It's just like AI dubbed over. It's like Pagino.
Is that how you say it?
Pacino.
Yeah.
dude.
That sounds
Al
wrong.
There's
Pacino.
no shot. You said Al Pacino.
Pacino sounds more Italian.
They were like, somebody in The Godfather needs to be in this movie. Maybe.
Yeah, it's
I
Al-
haven't seen The Godfather. God, and I won't.
You haven't seen The Godfather?
I won't. I refuse to watch any film bro movies.
No, that's like you're valid for that. I get that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that you've made it this far.
I made it so long without seeing Pulp Fiction. And the
Actually,
only
so did I.
reason I saw it was for someone's birthday party. And
Oh.
I'm very mad about it. They
Oh.
took that from me.
What, you were proud that you had never seen
Yes.
it?
No, I have like movies that I'm proud of never watching for
Yeah.
sure.
What the hell? Did you
What's
like
one
Pulp
for you?
Fiction?
It's fine.
Well, mine isn't a single movie. I don't want to say this because this is gonna. I haven't seen a single movie in the MCU.
Whoa.
Oh,
None?
I haven't seen a single
You
one.
should be proud. That's crazy.
Because I feel like it's not even that I'm
Congratulations.
not even like anti-MCU. It's literally just that like I have managed for the last decade to not watch any of the big blockbuster films that are in theaters. This is
That's
not about
insane.
misery.
I wish I was
No, we're
living
not.
life.
We're off. This is insane. This is crazy.
But yeah, that's my big one for me. It's like I'm literally just like proud. And like, you know, like people always try to get me to watch them. They're like, "Oh, don't worry. Like
Don't
it's
do
super
it.
easy. We can just start." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like I don't want to because this is insane of me.
No,
and
it
I
is.
need to keep it going."
Can I ask? We're way off topic, by the way. Have you seen any superhero film like ever?
Actually, well, so when I was in like middle school, I was really into comics and specifically DC, which I wound up being on the wrong side of the train on
Yeah,
that
oops.
one. But I
I
did
love
because
DC. You're good.
thank you. Okay, I'm valid here. Thank
Yeah.
you. Safe space. I did watch some DC movies. So like I've seen also I like Batman.
Yeah.
I watched Dark Knight.
Okay.
I like Christopher Nolan. So like, you know, in that terrain,
Gotcha.
I settle there. Yeah. I get it, you know. It's just not my genre personally.
That's insane, though. That's crazy.
No, I know. So anyway, point is you're valid and I get it. Proud of
you.
you for not seeing The Godfather
Thank
or
you.
Pulp Fiction for a long time.
Some other actors. It was given to Richard Dreyfuss, Gene Hackman, and Robert Redford.
Oh,
They
wow.
all turned it down.
Why? Or
Did
they
not
probably had their own
say.
reasons.
Did not say.
I'm like, Tessa, why?
Because in your notes, does it say why each individual
I
actor?
wish
They
I
all
knew.
said the same thing.
I wish I could ask them specifically.
Robert Redford would have been interesting, I think. I
think
can't
he would've
see him in the
killed it.
role, but I think that would have been interesting.
I
Harrison
think
Ford is
Harrison
insane.
Ford would
That is wild.
would have been cool.
That would have changed the movie significantly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably
any of
for
them
the
would have.
better.
All right.
I like James Caan.
See, I already
he's a
forgot his
good-
name. You told me and I already forgot his name.
I did too.
It's because of the Elf thing. Like, for some reason, because I'm like so used to seeing him in Elf, and he's such a mean dad in that, where he's like, "Get out of my office." And
You're into that?
No.
You're into the mean dad trope?
no, but like it carries over for Paul Sheldon because I'm like already I see him as jaded. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No, that makes sense.
The characterization is built into James.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah,
I could see that.
literary
What's your
man.
opinion on it, Tessa?
I think you already know. We'll get into it more.
Okay.
But for Annie,
Mm-hmm.
2 actresses were offered the role
Hmm.
before Kathy Bates. Angelica Houston and Bette Midler.
Bette Midler would have
Bette
been so interesting.
Midler, dude.
So would have Angelica Houston. Sorry, not to diss. I just like Bette Midler would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think
I
love
she
Bette
regretted
Midler.
it. I think she said later on that she regretted it.
I mean, I think Kathy Bates was amazing.
Yeah.
I also think Bette Midler would have also been amazing.
She should have been in the Broadway version.
Oh.
That, a musical? Misery the musical?
Oh my
Wait.
gosh.
Oh boy. Here we
Trademark
go.
it.
Here we
Trademark
go.
it. Fun little fact about Stephen King. I don't know how to
Great
transition.
transition.
I don't know how
You're
to
killing these
transition.
transitions, dude.
Okay. His first typewriter had a malfunctioning key, just like the one.
Oh, and
Paul
he held on
used.
to that.
Yeah,
he was
had a
like,
grudge.
"That till I put
Pissed
this
him
in a
off.
box."
Screw that in. Oh my god.
I did hate reading it. I mean, you didn't experience this, I'm sure, but like in reading the physical copy of the pages.
Oh,
where
does it
it's-
just have?
Yes,
the
I should
missing
show you
ends?
actually.
And then like written ends.
Yes.
But it looks different than.
And then like when the
That's
end when
so
he loses the
great.
T and the E and
Oh
it's
my
like he's
God.
literally just like handwriting. There's like pages where it's literally just
Oh.
Paul Sheldon's handwritten pages.
Yeah, I fully missed out on that. That's
Yeah.
a fun little thing they
It looks
do. in
I'll
the
Yeah,
show
book.
it's
you
you
when we
missed out
continue
on.
to talk about this in the book. It's
Man.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, like the page count, because for me, I was really trying to read this quickly. Whenever I would hit those chapters where it was his typewriter, I was like, yes! I was just like flying through the misery stuff because it's like way bigger type.
Oh, see, the first time and this time I read this book, I hated the misery stuff.
Really?
The first time I read it,
I do think it's
I-
like, I understand why he hates misery.
yeah, no, it's not great. And like I would literally skip those sections the first time I read it. This time I read the full thing. But
Yeah.
I was not happy about it.
It is kind of interesting how in the book, sorry, I'm just going off topic.
No, you're good.
In the book, all the stuff about the bee sting and the half sisters, and you like
Oh,
see his writing process as he's figuring that out. And then the movie, it's just like in one line, Annie just like says all of it, which is effective for the movie.
Yeah.
But it's way more, I think, like rewarding in the book when you're like flipping through the pages and you can see how he's coming and how Annie is involved in his writing process differently than the movie. It's way more convoluted, I feel. So that like the misery sections, I also hated reading them, but I did kind of like that they were there because like it was interesting, you know?
Yeah. The bee sting section was weirdly one of the things I remembered from the first time I
Yeah.
read this. The bee sting and the penguin. Those were the 2 things I remembered.
The penguin. The penguin's different in the book and the movie, though. isn't it?
Oh,
The little guy.
yeah, the little guy.
The
little
penguin
guy.
in the movie is like the catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the book, the penguin is more of like a...
It's definitely relevant because he uses
Yeah.
to throw it out the window
Yes.
and get out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Well, in the movie, they do all those little nods, like they have like the Slim Jims, and they have like
Yeah.
like they do that, and so it's like I feel like that's what the penguin does.
Except they
Oh.
have Pepsi in the goddamn movie and not Coke. Oh, wait, no, reverse.
Reverse.
They have
Reverse.
Coke
Scratch
in the
that.
movie.
Reverse it.
Do you think
Yeah,
that's
we
because
can cut that out.
somebody is
We can cut
sponsored
it.
by
Definitely
Coke,
not.
and they were like, we need to have, or no, somebody hates Coke, and they were like, we need to put this in the movie. We cannot slander Pepsi like this.
So she was a Pepsi stan in the book.
In
Yes.
the book,
Yeah, she loved Pepsi,
fucks with
which is like
Pepsi.
on character.
That's disgusting.
She
It's on brand. Like
Yeah.
Annie Wilkes
Yeah.
loves Pepsi. Like let the record
Makes
reflect that.
sense.
Dude, maybe that's another thing they put in the movie to make you root for her more, is that she likes Coke.
If she liked Dr. Pepper, I would fully support her.
Oh, I
All her
agree.
rights
Suddenly a
and
very
wrongs.
sympathetic character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're almost done with this research stuff. Very boring, blah, blah, blah.
This is fun. What are you talking about?
Back from our soda segment.
So Kathy Bates,
Yeah.
right? She's an actress.
She's great.
She was
So I've heard. Allegedly.
allegedly. She was disappointed that the scene with the lawnmower was cut, and director Rob Reiner was afraid that the audience would laugh at it. I am so mad that they removed it.
Yes.
That
was a missed
scene-
opportunity. I understand the fears though, because I do think it is a little dramatic, and especially like doesn't it say in the book the officer's head explodes like a watermelon or something? Like it's very like, you know.
Yeah.
I can see why people would laugh at that. But also, oh my god, what a visual scene to include in the story. That would have been so good if it was executed well.
Also, she like stabs him with a cross, I think.
Yeah.
Like 10 times.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, the book is way more gory.
Wait, no, more than 10. She
Yeah.
stabs him like 4 times, then he goes down. And
Yeah.
then she just repeatedly stabs him.
Yeah, and she goes,
An
"There,
indeterminate amount of times. And then he gets up.
and then he's like, I need to get my gun.
Said it just like that.
I will give credit. I will give credit to the movie though. I didn't realize it. Setting up the like, police officer as a real character who like has a personality and we follow him around.
I like that.
I didn't notice what they were doing until like he starts the search, and I'm like, oh wait, doesn't she straight up murder the first police officer that gets to
Yeah.
him? Like, oh, I see what they're
yes.
doing. I was like, oh no,
I thought that
this
was
dude.
very effective.
It was
I
a
think
good choice.
That was one of the things. I know that we're still in the research section, but that was one of the things that I thought was very strong about the movie. That I think it's like it would not have been as good in the book, but it was great in the movie. You know what I mean? Like it was a very good strength for that particular medium was following the sheriffs, because it was like this pressure, like, you know, cook that where you're like, oh, how many more minutes until the officer gets there, and we're like watching it build and build, whereas in the book it's so effective how you're like, oh my gosh, is he gonna be stuck here forever?
You're
So
in his head.
exactly, so like it's just, anyway, sorry, that's a tangent, but we can keep going with the research
No,
section.
it's, and I think the movie, the gunshot works well, and is it like, whoa, it makes you jump scare. I can definitely see, as a director that has done something that's really well beloved, being scared to do something gory. I could see why that would be nerve-wracking, because a lot of people hate on horror that's gory, and I get it.
It would change the direction a lot, because that's
Yeah.
the thing, is like Misery is definitely horror, but the movie, and even in the book as well, it's like the really visual, visceral moments are towards the latter half, I think. So, and yeah, I mean, so is the lawnmower scene, but you know, it definitely would have added a lot more of that gore that you're talking about, for sure. But I do like that scene a lot in the book. I just thought it was very, and I think because it wasn't in the movie, when I was reading the book, I was like, whoa, like what's gonna happen?
Oh yeah, because you read the book after you watched the movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I did the opposite for our next episode though, so that'll be an interesting shift for me. But you both read the book and then watched the movie.
Yeah, for both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last couple things.
Ooh.
So Barry Sonnenfeld. I should have looked up these names.
Jerry Seinfeld,
I wish.
Al Pacino.
I wish. Barry Sonnenfeld,
Yeah.
who was the director of Men in Black, did the cinematography for this movie.
Whoa.
Huh.
Interesting.
Wait, really?
Yes. Are you trying to fact check me right now?
Actually, that
Whoa.
I'm having a hard time
Whoa.
believing that.
Mid podcast fact
Ouch.
check.
He just like switched.
I guess.
He also
He did?
did Addams Family.
Whoa.
Oh.
He directed it?
I think so.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
He's a good director. I'm glad he switched.
Yeah, he did direct it. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's so interesting. Thank you, Internet, for telling me that.
Yeah, nobody else did.
No good thing.
No one else mentioned
We
it.
couldn't have known.
That was the biggest, like, of all the like research that you've come up with so far. That one was the biggest one where I was like, no.
Okay, final factoid. We're going to talk about the play a little bit. So there is a play of Misery. It opened on Broadway in 2015 for a limited engagement. The play starred Bruce Willis as Paul Shelton.
Oh, that's actually interesting.
What?
Yeah. And I really wanted to find a bootleg of this, and I could not.
That's wow.
Yeah. And Laurie Metcalf as Annie Wilkes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I recognize the name. Let me have it on Wikipedia.
Oh, Lady Bird.
What? She's the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I need to get better
There
with
you go.
names. Yeah. Wow.
I've never seen
Wow.
Lady Bird either.
But you're saying what?
Whoa.
I've never seen it. You know, that's what I'm proud of.
You're
I've never
fired.
seen a single movie with Saoirse Ronan. Is that how you say it?
Ronan?
Saoirse
Yeah.
Ronan. I have never seen a single
You
film
shouldn't
with
be
her.
proud
in
of
it.
that.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
bad
joking
for
about
you.
being proud of it, but if we're all doing stuff that we've
I'd be
never
very
seen.
disappointed.
I don't
That's
think I've
very
ever seen-
anti-women of you.
Yeah. Factoid about me, quick one. Wikipedia this. I hate women.
Keeping that one in.
Yeah.
All right. Let's dive into the main segment, y'all. Book versus movie.
Yes.
Which do you prefer? Let's start with that.
Oh.
Just jumping right into it.
I mean, I feel like the book. I think we might.
Oh, what a hot take.
Yeah, I think we might. You know, I don't want to get too political here. I think I like the book a little bit more than the movie. You know, I feel like we all have the same opinion on
100%.
this.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh,
Whoa.
whoa.
Because
what?
you watched it first and
Yes.
then you read it.
And I
Wait,
watched
you being
it
for
2
real?
times. Yeah, I'm going to be for real.
Oh,
No, it's
This
not
is not a
because
bit.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that because I don't like the book. I'm just saying that because I think, and this is a compliment to the movie, I think the movie does a really good job of taking the most interesting pieces of the book and putting it in a very like short context without betraying the book. And I think that not only is that like a feat for movies, but it's like if you want to get the gist of the story and like the core of the Misery book, you can watch the movie and you will still get it and you will still have a very good time. So I feel like I don't know if that's answering which one I like better necessarily because it all comes down to like the core narrative, but I do think like of all comparisons, like the Misery movie is like good, solid. If somebody was like, I don't know how to read or something like
Who would
that.
say something like that?
yeah,
you say that earlier?
Nobody's ever said that. ever.
If somebody was like, I don't know. Like if somebody was just like, oh, I don't really want to do this, I'd be like, you can watch the movie and you don't have to read the book and you would still. Sorry, Stephen King. I'm not saying you don't have to read the book, but like you know, you can still really get it, and it's done very well in the movie.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to disagree. Well, I agree that you can watch it and get the gist of it. But I think the biggest thing that the movie misses out on is Paul's addiction.
Oh, it's so true.
And you mentioned that when we watched it, and I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like that is, knowing that King purposely wrote this book with drug addiction in mind, and the fact that that's like ripped out of the movie,
Yeah.
that's a big drawback for me.
It is kind of weird how like, especially when he like leaves his room and he's like getting the medication, but it's like with the intention. It's like they do specifically do 180s. Like in the book, he talks about like, oh, I can't drug Annie because she'll taste it. And then in the movie, that's like the basis of one of his plans.
No, he straight up tries to do
Yeah, so like it is kind of weird how they like. It's not weird. It's like you know they're doing what they have to do to make a very visual story play out. But that is true. I don't want to say I enjoyed the addiction in the book, but it did add stakes to his situation, and like we understand why he's in the situation a lot more than in the movie. That bit is definitely lacking. I do agree.
Yeah, you don't see like the withdrawals.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, there's just not this urgency. I feel like with Paul, as much. like, I don't feel like there's as much tension with him trying to get out, trying to like, yeah.
They like
we'll
create
get into
that tension
a
in
little
different
more.
ways. It's like it's like what I was saying earlier about the officer. Like there is tension, but it's a completely fabricated way of creating tension as opposed to like what's in the book, which is fine because I think that works for the movie. But like I agree, it's like the sources of why the story matters or like that does definitely differ between the two.
Of course, with the book, you're getting his internal monologue, and you're very much in his head. And it's as an actor that would be really hard to portray, and so he did the best he could in the movie. But I still feel like there wasn't as much emotion. Like I wanted him to be angry. I wanted him to be pissed off at the world. Like I wanted him to be terrified. Like, and it's just he wasn't giving that for me, personally. I don't know. Did you
I think
guys
it's
have
just 'cause
thoughts
of,
on the
like-
performance, or?
Yeah, I think his performance was okay. I think he did about as well as you could. Maybe in that, maybe could have done better. But I feel like just the book goes out of its way to really like drive home how much pain he's in, or like how upset he is a lot of the times. Just because now I'm learning because I've never read Stephen King before. He really likes to go in depth about how
Very
people
descriptive.
feel. Very, very descriptive.
Yes.
So when you're given like that much description that is non-physical, right? It's all in his head. It's all words on a page. And then you're, as an actor, you're like, okay, try to portray that with a face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Very
know.
difficult.
It's
yeah.
hard to do. Yeah, I feel like you kind of miss some of that. You lose a bit of that in the movie adaptation because the book just goes so descriptive with literally every like minute emotion he feels. So yeah, I feel like that kind of takes away from the movie in my opinion. But how do you feel about his performance, Tessa?
Not a fan. There's a reason one of them got an Oscar and the other didn't.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Whoa. Drop the
He
mic.
just wasn't giving me anything. As a director, I would have been pissed. And the thing is like, Kathy Bates came from the stage, and so she was very much about rehearsal. But he came from Hollywood movies. He did not want to rehearse. And so the director kind of used that, like, so Kathy Bates was actually getting pissed off at him. And, like, I feel like you can see that because their acting styles were so different. And so, yeah, maybe he could have used with some rehearsal. I don't know.
I feel like I'm joking about Elf, but I actually do think that, like, when I watch Walter Hobbs in Elf. Yes, I know.
I'm joking about
Yes,
Elf,
I
but
know
I'm
the
gonna
name.
bring it up.
Yes, I know the name of the character.
crazy.
When I'm
That's
watching
crazy.
Walter Hobbs, is it?
You know the
I
name?
watch it every year with my family. Anyway, when I watch Walter Hobbs, and he hates his son or whatever, and I watch Paul Sheldon, who hates his little life, it's connecting for me, I guess. Like, again, I was joking about that, but like I do think, like, I understand why he was cast, because he does just kind of look like he hates his life. And so because he's just like, you know, and sorry for the
Are you
people
getting
listening.
that, Michael?
No, because
you
I was
getting
gonna say
that at
I
all?
could, because I think the movie drops that in the
Oh,
in
really?
the movie, because that would make sense.
Well, also in the movie he has kids. Do you think
in the movie
as
his
a
life
father,
seems fine in the movie?
as a father, do you think that like because in the book he has 2 ex-wives and is a player, and in the movie he
so
has
hot.
a wife and kids. Does he actually have kids, or was he just saying that?
I don't think he has.
because that's
I
the
don't
other thing I
know.
wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if in the movie we're supposed to think that he actually did have kids, or if this was just a desperate plea. I which, you know, to their credit, like, good, I guess.
Yeah, well, actually, wait, because do they mention his family?
Like his
Pre the
editor does
accident?
not. His editor does not mention him having a family. So I don't think. Actually, I'm pretty sure she doesn't. At the end, I know there's no mention of family, but there's like one line where he's like, "My kids miss me," and it's like, do they?
That might have been a.
I
maybe.
don't know. I don't know.
fib.
But if that is true, then yeah, in the movie it's, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I understand the criticism of his performance, but also
You're still into it. That's fine. You can still like it.
well, it's not, I'm not trying to say that I like it necessarily. I'm just trying to say that, like, it works for me. I'm not mad about his performance. I love Kathy Bates' performance. I'm not mad about James Caan's performance. You know?
Okay. It did what it needed to do.
This is the range of the room right now.
So we mentioned that the cop is a bigger character in the movie. I really loved the cop and his wife.
Yeah, I love the wife.
The fact that he like slowly starts becoming a fan of misery.
Does she have a name? I feel
great.
bad. I just called her the wife. Do the cop and the wife have names?
Don't know. I
Well,
also
maybe.
called her the cop, or called them the cop and the wife.
They probably call him by name. They call him like Sheriff something.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, no, it was cool to add these extra characters in the movie because if we were just stuck in that one room for the entire thing, probably
It wouldn't have been visually interesting. Yeah, they made really like specific choices to take it out of the room and like, which actually though in the book he does take it out of the room in his brain, with his vivid imagination, you know, and when he's thinking about the
loves
Roy
talking about how
Also,
good it is.
so vivid.
every misery like injection is us going out of the room.
completely different world.
We're in like Africa or in
Oh my gosh.
other places.
I did find his okay, this is more about the book, but I did find the metaphor very effective of like where we start out with the rocks in the ocean and then we get to like the bird in the zoo and I was just like, I so understand what the feeling of being not like me, but like I get it in reading the bird in the zoo feeling that he must have been feeling, and I'm like, what an effective. And then obviously that ultimately plays out in the book. I was like, okay, King, like I get it, like
Okay, King.
This guy.
King.
Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Okay, can I bring something up about the rock thing? Okay.
Rock.
Yeah, about Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
That's what I thought you meant for a second, and I was like, whoa, do you need to do an
He's in the
adaptation
new
where
remake.
Yeah,
stop. Stop.
I wish.
Stop.
That'd be-
I was like, you
that'd
should
be
play Annie
crazy.
Wilkes. He's
I'd be here for
shredded.
that. I'd be here for
He's
that.
like, I used to be a nurse.
I used to kill infants in my free time.
Oh my.
Jesus.
Reading
Tessa,
about that in the book was
Tessa, you can't say that.
reading about that in the book.
happens.
Reading about that in the book was worse than seeing it in the movie. I think for whatever reason. Because in the movie,
Oh,
there's,
yeah.
there's only like a few. In the
Bro,
book,
yeah.
you're reading it, and you're like, oh my.
You're
God.
reading all
Oh,
the
yeah.
deaths. In
Yeah.
the movie, it's so quick. And it only focuses on like the apartment
Yes.
deaths and then the
Like,
baby
yes.
deaths. It doesn't go into everything leading up to that.
Yeah.
Right, and it's way more horrifying when you're. Anyway, we can get to that. Continue.
Yeah.
What was I?
Oh, wait.
No, you were
I
talking
was
about-
I was talking about Dwayne the Rock Johnson. No. In the beginning of the book, when he's like all like cracked out and he just had the accident and he's talking about how he's feeling the pain, I have never, maybe it's just me, I've never heard somebody use the word piling.
Piling, yeah.
Is that,
Yeah,
have you
same.
heard somebody say that before?
No, but like I assumed that it meant, you know, when you like go to the beach and you see like rocks on top of each other. That's what I thought it meant.
I thought it was referring to like the little tide pool like rocks with all, because he says they're like covered in barnacle. He's like painting the picture of like a tide pool and like the tide's coming in and out and
That
washing
probably
over.
is what he's talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I didn't know what any of that meant.
No,
Oh.
because I had never heard somebody call that a piling before, and he says it like 50 times.
I don't want to Google it.
And
now.
I had never heard anybody say. It took me until he mentions like crusted in barnacles or something like that, and I was like,
Oh.
oh, he's talking about the rocks at
That's
the
so
beach.
interesting. I literally interpreted that completely differently.
At least that's what I think he's saying. But like, I don't know what a piling is.
It is
I've
so
never-
interesting. Like, I feel like if this movie was remade today without the Rob Reiner version, like without assuming that doesn't exist at all for inspiration material, I do think that a modern director would probably incorporate his like little psychological vacations a lot
Yes.
more.
Very
than-
indie A24.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think they would way more lean into that than they do in this one, which is just
Take more
interesting.
risks, probably.
Yes.
100%. A big difference is the fact that time in the movie is way
Yes.
shorter. He is not there for very long. People start looking for him quicker. And I think that's what makes the book so terrifying is that he is there for months and months. Probably
Yeah.
almost a year, or at least until the winter's over.
I can't
Yeah,
decide
it's
which
just
is more
summer,
realistic.
right? It's like
Yeah.
half a
Yeah,
year.
it's into June.
Yeah.
I can't decide which is more realistic though, honestly, because for his level of being an author, I'm like, would they be like knocking on random people's houses and stuff like that, or was he not that famous? He was writing those kind of like cheaper novels. Like I don't know. Like I can't decide which version of that makes more sense based on how like acclaimed
Popular he
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
Because, like, yeah, if he is a Stephen King type, then people would be looking for
Oh,
him
exactly. And
immediately.
then the shorter timeline makes more sense. But I think that if he inflates in his own mind the quality of a writer which he is, which it kind of seems like he does,
like it is, yeah.
then it does make sense that months go by and nobody's really looking. I don't know.
Yeah, guess it just depends on how well people know him.
Yeah.
You think you know a guy.
You think.
Yeah, and even like when she goes to the laughing place, she's maybe there for a night, but in the book, it's over 48 hours. And he's in pain, he's starving, he's dehydrated, he's going through all the things.
Drinks his own piss.
Can anybody like break down?
Does that? Yeah.
Can anybody break down the laughing place for me? Because that sounds horrifying. And when I was reading the book, I was like, okay, I'm gonna.
You just skipped it?
No, I didn't like skip it, but I was like, I'm not gonna think too hard about what that is.
Yeah, I think it's just a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
It's literally just a place where she goes
if
when she's
even a
having
cabin,
episodes.
it might literally just be like a place in the middle of the woods.
That's what I thought it
like,
was. I didn't think it was like a place where she has things. I literally thought it was just like a place where she like hangs out when she's having an episode. And I was like, that is like, okay, I don't want to say crazy, but like that's.
Does she say
I don't
there's a
remember
house?
if it is a location or if it is a
she
building.
doesn't mention. Like,
and I
what
think
it is
honestly, the
exactly.
ambiguity really weirded me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to be somewhere that's like in between her house, the town, like, or not in between, but it has to be like past the town, because when she comes back, she like grabs the paper and the typewriter and stuff.
Yes.
And then brings it back to the house. So it has to be farther than town, I would think.
I guess.
But doesn't
Maybe?
she say at one point, she says something about like, oh, I told you I was going to town, but actually I went to my laughing place? Or I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. It's not
She might have
necessary.
said that.
It's not that big of a deal.
It's been a few weeks since I've read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been less than 24 hours since I read it. So
Well, maybe you should remember that.
it's okay. It's been weeks since I read our next episode's
Ooh,
content. So
that'll
that's
be-
going to be a lot different for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so they find the car also very soon.
Yes.
In the book, they find it in the spring when the snow is melted, but in the movie, they find it pretty quickly. The cop, he like goes down the hill. He's almost there by the car, and he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Then
I
he
forgot.
finds it later.
They lean into the small town aspect very heavily.
Yes.
I think. They're like, there is
Small town
one
cop.
officer. And
He's
he
trying his
decided he
best.
was tired. And he decided to go and hang out with his wife.
He thinks reading the mystery novels will help him somehow.
That's
Which is
insane.
so...
It's
which,
truly
like,
crazy.
did it, though? Like,
I don't know. I don't think so.
I
don't think so either.
It does in the movie because
but, like, why would it have... It doesn't...
he's able to connect. If I remember right in the movie, he's like trying to figure out. He's reading the books. The logic of like I'm going to read the books to figure this murder
I need
out
to figure
is
out where
crazy.
he's hiding.
But then later on, he's like looking through newspapers and he sees Annie in the newspaper doing some crazy shit, and she quotes a Paul Sheldon book.
Oh, you're right.
At the courthouse, and he goes, "Oh, she's like a fan of Paul Sheldon," and then he goes to check with Annie.
You're so right.
It does play. It does pay off in the
It does
movie.
matter because
Yes.
he's able to recognize her quote.
Because he knows the quotes from the book now because he read the books, which is silly.
I still
but
think it
does
would have
happen.
been, I still think it would have been funny if he saved Paul Sheldon and was like, I'm your number one.
It just changes to him.
He says that and then he gets shot immediately after. I'm your number one fan.
Also, we can get into like the couple weird name changes. I wonder.
Oh, go for it.
Oh.
Go for it. I have it written down.
The town name is changed. I noticed in the movie, just cause I don't know if there's any
What is
significance
the
to
town
that.
name in the movie?
I don't even remember. In the book, it's Sidewinder.
Yes,
Mhm.
In the
Sidewinder.
movie, it's something else, but I don't remember what.
That's so weird. I thought it was Sidewinder.
No, it's something else. I don't know why they changed it. And then one of the Misery characters, just one, their name is changed. And we were joking that it was probably like an executive producer's name that they decided to change it to or something.
Yeah,
Is
they
that-
changed it from Jeffrey to Winthorn.
Yes. Was
I
there
still
any
think
reason?
it's so weird
I
that
don't
they
know
didn't
why.
change Ian.
That would have been something.
I
to
feel
look
like
into.
changing
Ian,
it from
yeah.
Jeffrey to like Jeffrey and Winthorn. Okay, I get it. Ian and Winthorn.
Ian is such a modern name.
Ian,
It's weird.
Like I don't know. Ian is like I grew up with people named Ian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess I grew up with people named
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
is
too,
not-
but I did not grow up with people named Winthorn.
Yeah.
Can't say that I have either. I can't remember if this happens in the book. Does Annie reveal her divorce to Paul, or he just reads it in the newspaper?
Yes, I don't believe she ever actually vocalizes her divorce. I remember him being like surprised that she got married.
Yeah.
And he's like flipping through and he's
Yes.
like, oh, she got married. And oh my gosh, she didn't kill anybody in the time that she was married
Yeah.
until after the
Crazy.
divorce. And then in the movie, she's talking about the divorce to him, which again, of course, is just the necessity of the visual medium and how much information you're able to communicate. But yeah, it's another one of his discoveries, which was a very interesting discovery that she, like, I also was like, oh, when I like read that in the book, that like she was married and didn't kill anybody when she was married.
Wow.
And it's just like an absent section of her life.
I honestly, it would have been an interesting conversation if they talked about their divorces together. I don't know. That could have been an interesting scene, maybe.
Oh yeah,
Bonding.
Yeah, a little bonding
a little
sesh.
bonding between.
We're both divorced.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Let's get to the fight scene at the end.
Yes.
Very different.
Yeah.
It was riveting in the book.
Yeah.
I was like,
yes.
through pages.
She even did the typical horror movie thing where she comes back
Yeah.
life multiple times,
Oh,
which
yeah.
kind of annoyed me after a while, but like it was so goofy in the movie. Just visually,
It's very
did
quick in the
not-
movie, I
yeah.
feel, too. Considering it is pretty much the only, besides when the sheriff gets shot, it's the only big, like, gore scene. Gore. I don't even know if you can consider it that, because there's not that much, like, guts. But, you know, in terms of action, it's very, like, quick. And then suddenly we're at the end. And we're, like, years later. And, like, in the book, it definitely feels like there's way more. I love the chapter in the book also when the two officers come, and it's from their POV. And they're like, yeah, this weird guy keeps calling me David, because he was calling them David and Goliath in his head. And it's
That was
like,
funny.
I loved the switch in POV and how the officers are like this is so weird. And then seeing like how they see Paul Sheldon versus how like I'd been picturing James Caan at the end of the book. It's
How
just
did they
like,
describe him?
they say he's like, they say it looked like somebody who was locked up for years. They said that he was like extremely thin,
Yeah.
like on the brink of death,
Yeah.
like looked horrible. Which
His
is
like
not how you.
skin's the wrong color. They say a bunch of like
Yes,
crazy
they
stuff.
like say that he is like he looks horrible,
Yeah.
and which is interesting because we're always in his POV. I wasn't imagining him like that, so that shift was very effective.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the fight scene. Well, you know what was the same was the cigarette and lighting the script on fire.
Yeah.
What was different? Well, also what was different is that Annie's happy to give him a cigarette in the movie.
Yeah. She was not anti-smoker.
Yeah, which is well, I like that she's anti-smoker in the book, because I'm like, yeah, she
Makes
would
sense.
be exactly. It's like it's
fits
just
the
another
character.
like one of those things where it's like it's a strict rule for her, but she murders people.
That's where she draws the line at cigarettes.
Right, that causes cancer.
Yeah.
But
Immediate deaths, perfectly acceptable.
murdering infants, that's well. She says that she believes they don't have souls.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she does say
Yeah,
that.
she says like she's like I don't believe that they have souls. So, and it's like you're a nurse, like you're.
It's crazy.
Maybe get baptized first, and then you're fine.
I will say, I think going back to the fight scene at the end, I think both versions are like kind of silly, because like there's no shot. There's no shot you're beating somebody in a, like in a wrestling match with broken legs.
Not Annie Wilkes.
No,
I mean,
not-
his
it's-
arms seemed ripped though, because he was like
Yeah,
practicing
he was, like-
with
He
the
was.
typewriter.
That's like the only thing that kind of makes it plausible.
should
They
do a
do
physical
set
challenge.
it up that he is weightlifting throughout the whole book, which I appreciate.
Yeah, no, that was good. I think we should do a physical challenge on this podcast where we each have to lift
Oh my god, I would lose immediately.
and then do a push-up contest. And I
To be
that'd be
really
great.
See who could eat
effective,
the most paper.
we should
yes!
burning paper.
Yeah.
burning paper, and then like how many can you eat?
I think the only way to like myth bust it is if we starve ourselves for months,
Oh, okay.
cut our feet off,
Yeah.
and then
No, just one.
Just
do
one
it.
foot.
One
And our
Yes.
thumbs, which was missing from
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah.
You're so right.
It does
That
go
was so
on.
random.
And I feel like the left thumb being gone is, I don't know. I don't know that was essential. Like, I think it was good that it was in the book, but like in it being missing in the movie, I wasn't like,
No, the
why
fact-
does he
I
have his thumbs? Like,
Yeah, the fact that I forgot that even
yeah,
happens,
yeah. It's like,
it's telling. It
It's
didn't
okay.
really need to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So, final thoughts. I think it makes sense that Annie Wilkes was from Bakersfield. I
can you defend that statement?
want
I
you to go
went
into
to
detail.
Bakersfield
Yeah.
last week. We drove through it, and I was
Oh.
like, "Wow, this place is depressing."
Mhm.
I get why she would go crazy. Like, I kind of get it.
I've never been to Bakersfield, but the description you're giving is
I've
what I've
driven
heard.
through Bakersfield. I'm trying to remember. Oh wait, maybe no. Yeah, I've been to Bakersfield. They have Dutch Bros there, don't they?
Of course.
I wish LA had Dutch Bros.
I
A what?
don't get the hype for Dutch Bros.
Because I
got
love
it.
Red Bull. And they make drinks like slushies with Red Bull, and that's amazing.
What is a Dutch Bro? Is it a restaurant?
Oh, you've never been?
Ooh.
Okay. So next episode, we're actually going to be taking Michael to Dutch Bros.
We're driving 4 hours.
No, actually, no. There's one in like Long Beach. So like, I'm kind of wrong about saying it's not in LA. There is one technically like in LA County. I'm pretty sure, but that's my pro about Bakersfield is I'm pretty sure they have Dutch Bros. Also, like, you know, shout out people that are from Bakersfield that aren't Annie Wilkes because I have a few friends from Bakersfield, and I think they're. I think
great.
They're great, and I'm pretty sure they're not bipolar. And I guess I don't know. I don't think that it's related. Is what I'm
That's
trying
the
to
perfect transition to what I wanted to ask.
Are we gonna talk about Annie's mental health?
Yes, I wanted to know what your
She seems fine.
Well, she's.
well, what are your thoughts on like her portrayal of mental health?
You know,
Do you
it
think
is
it's acceptable? Do you think it's kind of outdated? What are your
I'm
thoughts?
so glad you asked that question because I also feel like when we're talking about addiction and we're talking about like what like the core of the novel is, and it's pretty impossible to not bring up. I inferred that she is bipolar. I don't know if that's correct. All that we really know from her portrayal is that,
mentioned that.
she has very violent. Does it actually say in the book?
I think
I
she's
don't think
diagnosed.
so.
something depressive.
Well, she has depressive episodes.
Yes.
That is said in the book. But I don't know that she has manic episodes. So it's not necessarily. I don't really know that
Well.
that's actually. Well, no, I mean she acts very violently, but I don't know that that can be characterized as like I don't know that they ever actually say what she is diagnosed with, and I think that that might be on purpose because you know, obviously like bipolar people are not murderers, and like that's not, you know, and so kind of being a little more vague I think probably did a service. But what actually, like, why she kills babies, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it said, I wrote it down. It said he thought, Paul Sheldon thinks that she has manic depressing personality.
Oh, so then that is an older way of saying bipolar, isn't it? Or is it not? I don't know.
Manic depressive. I think that is.
Manic depressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. But also that is his perspective. Well, I guess we'll
Yeah.
really never know why Annie does what she does. But we do know that she has very severe depressive episodes from her portrayal, which is not, again, specifically one condition, I don't believe. I don't know. Obviously, not a doctor. Are you a doctor, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, would you care to weigh in?
Nah.
I don't know. That's
You gotta
my,
pay me
like,
for it.
my take is obviously like not connected at all with I don't know what her situation is. I don't really know what to say about the portrayal of it because it doesn't seem like it's.
She doesn't seem like she would have gone to get anything verified.
Nah.
Never.
But she's a nurse. It's like she would have been. I'm not saying that because like I agree. I don't think she would have gotten it verified anywhere. But like you'd think being in a medical environment, she might be able to get some opinions.
I don't know if she wanted any.
Yeah. I think she views herself very high
yes.
above everybody else.
Yeah, I think
Right.
she thinks she's great. She's
Yeah.
doing great.
And of course, like the whole thing is through Paul's POV. How do you think the book would have been different if we did get Annie's POV at any point?
Switching it up. Sorry. I have to
Sorry,
answer the questions.
I was just thinking about that because like it makes me think of like Split, you know, and like Split. I enjoyed the movie of Split. I also understand why people were criticizing it because of the portrayal of the mental health condition that's like the crux. And it does seem like Misery in a similar way. It's like the story would not be happening if it wasn't for Annie's mental illness. So, you know, it does seem important, but also like, you know, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. It's just like, it is interesting. I don't know.
I Googled it, and yeah, manic depressive personality is like another way to say bipolar.
It's like outdated.
Yeah. And I think to be critical of horror, there is a lot of stigmatism towards mental health and stuff.
For sure.
So that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up. I'm not like offended by her personality or her existence, besides the fact that she's a serial killer. But Yeah, if we got her POV, it would have been interesting.
It
I'm
would've-
just trying
yeah.
to like imagine, like I'm thinking of Norman Bates. We get his
Mm-hmm.
POV in the book, and or Patrick Bateman, and so it's definitely been done before,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, but jumping back and forth between Paul and Annie, I don't know.
I
would've
don't think
been
I would have liked
weird.
that.
I don't
But
know.
similar
Can't
to the two
imagine.
officers where we got their POV
Mm-hmm.
for one chapter, I do wonder what it might have been like for one chapter of Annie, just to see like
Yeah.
what she thought was going on and how like that might have given a little more. I don't know. I agree with you though. In horror, they do stigmatize a lot of mental health conditions and kind of exploit them for the sake of like, ooh, look at what this crazy person can do, and like what would happen if this person just went off the rails. Which is unfortunate, of course.
You probably would sympathize with her a lot more, though.
Yeah,
if that was
yes,
the
that's true.
goal.
When we're talking about sympathizing with Annie, that would have been a very interesting and for me at least welcome change. Just see how that would be different. But I don't know. Obviously, I would be happy to speak to somebody with bipolar and see what their take would be. I'm sure it would be very different than my understanding of Annie completely, but also maybe not because maybe Paul's completely wrong. So
Yeah, he's
maybe she
completely
doesn't have
guessing.
bipolar.
We don't know what she has at all.
Yeah, I think that kind of works because a lot of, from Paul's perspective, a lot of like the narration is like portraying her as like barely even like a human being. She's like a force. She is just like an idea. Like that's like a lot of stuff that gets. What he calls her, like an idol.
Yes, he's calling her a goddess at the end.
Yeah. Like, I think it kind of works that we don't ever get her POV, and her mental illness isn't like really described with any certainty. She is just kind of crazy. She's just like kind of weird because like Paul just thinks of her as like not even really a human, and he can't even believe at the end that she could die. Like we get that whole like ending bit where he's like, "No, she got away. Like there's no shot. She's dead. It doesn't make any sense that she would die because like you can't kill her." And then I think that helps. Like we don't get any defined anything about Annie
because
really.
it takes her away from being a human being.
Yeah,
You're saying?
it makes her like just a force of nature. It's not even really. Is she even human? But like obviously she is. That's just Paul's perspective. But I think it helps sell that.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting bridge because like what you were talking about earlier about how you're not really freaked out by paranormal. It's like this is a really, to me, like interesting bridge between human on human terror and taking it away from being human and like really like increasing the stakes in that way, at least for him psychologically. So like it was a creative way, I think, to access that for sure.
Yeah, I do like how you brought that up, that she becomes slowly less of a human and more of like a goddess, force to be reckoned with. And that just also shows his mental health is deteriorating.
Yeah,
very
because he doesn't-
effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is there... Okay, I have to make this point, and we can cut this out, but I do have to make this point. One of the things that struck me is in the first chapter when he's describing Annie, he's like, she doesn't... Are you going to talk about it?
I think so. Yes.
About, like, she doesn't... She's like, she doesn't have womanly curves, and she doesn't... She's, like, big, and she's like... But, like, he's really talking about her physicality.
Yeah. He just described her as like just like one solid piece. Like
yes,
there's
but
like
he
just...
But yes, but like in the first chapter, he explicitly is like she is like barely a woman because she doesn't like fit this like thing, which is so. First of all, man. Second of all, it's just so like when we putting it in the context of like slowly moving her away from being a human being. It's like he's already like kind of there because he's like, well, she's not a woman, you know.
Yeah,
And
well, that's where
he's
the
like,
idol thing first comes up because he's like, she's just like a big block of
Right.
stone.
Which
She's like
is-
not even like a person. Like
Which, you know, there's probably reason to why Paul was like able to make the leap for himself about why he moved away from seeing her as a human being. But also, I'm not saying that to humanize Annie. She did torture him and cut off his foot. But you get what I'm trying to get at, I think.
Yes. So I did want to bring that up, is that King does that a lot, where the first thing he mentions about any female character is their body. You will notice that. And it's crazy because I can't envision Paul, really, any characteristics of him. He doesn't really describe himself.
It's true.
But we have a clear image of how Annie looks. And yeah, that's a big thing I have
Which also, like...
with King. It's a big issue. And it's kind of why I stopped reading his stuff, because I was like, it was so noticeable. Once you notice it, you can't not notice it. The way he writes female characters is very objectifying. and one note.
To Kathy Bates's credit, like, beautiful woman. I think, like, in the movie, you know, they really do, like, for her aesthetic, like, kind of, they obviously make her as close as they can to the description of the book, but it is kind of interesting to pair that characterization of how he describes Annie to, like, Annie. And especially in the movie, I think, like, and I remember saying this when we watched it, like, I think she looks so young.
Yeah.
And in the book, she's not young. She's already been through a marriage. Or I don't want to say explicitly not young, but she's not as young as Kathy Bates is in the movie. And, like, I feel like you feel a little bit more like young fan vibes from Kathy Bates in the movie than in the book. Paul Sheldon describes her kind of haggish, and kind of like the kind of woman who would like sit up with his like bad misery romance novels, and at least that's how I understood her to be. And so that's kind of a difference. For me, that's welcome because I think I don't love that characterization of her in the book, but that's a difference for sure that like I felt between the book and the movie. I don't know.
They also play up at least in my opinion, they play up the like love angle way more in the movie. In the book,
like her like loving Paul.
Yeah, like being in love with Paul.
Oh,
in the movie, that seems, at least what I got from it, seemed to be like a prominent character like thing between them. In the book, it's like maybe implied.
It comes up like twice.
Yeah, but like it's just kind of offhandedly mentioned that she like loves him, but it doesn't ever feel like she is in love with Paul. Really, I don't ever get that vibe from the.
Can you be in love with somebody who you chop the foot off of?
If you're Annie, if you're I don't know. The movie felt like they really played it up. Like that was like the main reason almost.
He used that against her to try to like
Yeah.
get her on the date. So
Yes.
he poison her.
Yes.
Right.
Or in the book, that feels like it almost is not important at all.
Well, and I would say also that plays into like the younger fan thing as
Yes.
well. And like we talked about this at the very beginning, but I'm bringing it up again. For me, the main thing I got out of the movie was the parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that like playing up the her being in love with him thing and like her being a younger fan who's like kind of into him, the parasocial meaning works a lot more cohesively than the addiction one does. Because the addiction one, you know, when we're talking about the metaphor of like being in love, I would imagine it would be portrayed very differently if addiction was more of the core focus of the movie than it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like I say things and then I end the conversation and I feel really bad.
No, it's because you're
Sorry.
so
No, you're
based and
good.
true. There's nothing left to say.
I'm sorry. No,
It's
because I'm
just
not
done.
trying to kill I just want you to know I'm not trying to kill it.
No, you're not. You're not.
Wait, can I say one thing?
Yeah, go.
No.
Uh,
Yeah, what do you
okay, Annie drops the hard R.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you
you're so
remember
right.
that?
Yeah,
It's
I know.
insane.
No,
It
she
is
just-
insane.
Yeah.
And sorry, again, not trying to stigmatize mental health. I'm saying it's insane that she drops the hard R. And it's unprovoked.
It's so random.
No,
it's
it's
so
super
weird.
unprovoked.
It's so out of nowhere. And it does immediately when you read it, you're like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
What is it? She drops it because
she's talking
reading?
about one of the characters in the Misery books.
She's reading like his drafts, and because they're in
Yes.
Africa, she just drops a hard.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God.
It's so funny.
It's so
It's out of nowhere.
It's out of nowhere. And you know, I'm trying to remember like in other Stephen King books, because I know that he has other characters who do racist things, I'm pretty sure. And I'm trying
Seems on point. for
Probably
him.
in it.
I
I would think,
think
the
so.
bullies definitely.
I wonder like what I don't know. And it's just, you know, that's the difference between the book and the movie, is that like obviously Annie in the movie does not drop
She's
a
not
hard R.
racist in the movie.
She is not racist, or at least not that we know of.
Yeah.
She does racist things in the book.
Also, if we're going to talk about racist things, the whole Misery book is not. I feel like not super great. Not an incredible representation of like African culture.
I mean,
No.
if we're gonna
No
like
way.
give credit to the book, I would say Paul is losing his grip on reality, and he is completely
the
going
excuse?
into a fictional world here where
Yeah.
he's making up things. I would also say it seems very offensive from what I read, so trigger warning if you're gonna read the book.
Yeah, a bit offensive.
It especially towards the end. Yeah, it's
Yeah, some of the way he wrote, like how
uncomfortable.
they would talk.
Yeah, so I was
Oh.
going to bring up, because I'm listening to the
Oh, yeah.
audiobook.
Oh no! Oh, you're
She
so
has
right.
to just do. She has to just do a very not PC like accent for all these African characters.
Oh my god.
It was kind of sometimes I was chuckling sometimes listening to the book. I'm like, God, this poor actress.
Lizzie Kaplan. Was yours Lizzie Kaplan?
I don't remember.
I think the audiobook I listened to was Lizzie Kaplan, and yeah, like I said, she was Annie Wilkes in a version. Interesting.
I don't remember who the voice actress was for. I listened to it on Audible, so if it's the one you listen to, then it's probably the same one.
Maybe.
I imagine. I don't know.
But
yeah, that was a lot. It's very funny.
King, yeah, he kind of be like that sometimes.
But that's what I was trying to get at. Is it him, or is it what he's saying about the characters that he gives those attributes to?
I don't know.
Because also the book was written in the 80s, but it takes place in the 60s?
I think it does. I don't know, actually. For some reason, I also thought it was the 60s, but like I don't know if we just had the same thought.
Well, because she was watching the play or the movies in the 40s.
Right.
Yes.
So I feel like it would be much later.
Okay.
Because the way he like describes her as like he doesn't believe her at first. He's like, oh, you aren't that old.
Mm-hmm.
You're not old enough to have been seeing those. So I don't know.
Yeah.
How old it is.
Oh, and sorry, that just reminded me of when in the book he finds out that her brother was also named Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that like for some reason that for me I was just like,
Yikes.
oh, this suddenly makes a lot of sense. Like it made sense before, but suddenly it's like, oh, like there's a lot going on.
A lot of
here.
baggage there.
Yeah, like there's a lot of projecting.
Yeah, it will definitely, as we read more King, we'll definitely dive into some of his writing techniques. One of the things that I noticed at the beginning, and he does this a lot in The Shining, where he'll be just talking like normal. He'll
Say
just
The
be writing.
Shining? Wait, am I tripping? Did she just say
It happens.
Oh,
the
it
way
happens in
he
The
writes
Shining?
happens in The Shining.
Oh, okay.
Where he will write like normal stuff, and then he'll just say the most like insane shit. He'll just insert it randomly.
Yes.
Do you have an
Like,
example?
Oh, I've got
He
one.
is describing CPR. I wrote it.
Oh, the
page
CPR?
5.
Yeah.
He's like describing CPR as a man forcing himself into a woman. I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, this is so
He
out
says
of
like
pocket.
she's raping me with her breath or
Yes.
something like that.
And then there's a part at the end as well where when they're in their fight scene, it's like Paul's thoughts, and he's like, I'm gonna also again trigger warning for like talking about rape. But he's like, I'm gonna rape you. Like I'm gonna like. Do you remember
Yes.
that part?
Yeah.
And it's
Huh?
like, whoa.
Why?
Like, and it's
It
like,
doesn't.
you know, it is one of those things that clouds the characterization of Paul from being like this hero that we want to, because we're like, whoa,
He's not a
like
good
that is
dude.
horrible. Like, why would you? It's hard. It's hard to put yourself in the position of those characters because I don't ever want to be in that position.
I'd rather not actually.
I don't want to know.
Can I give you my example of him just
Oh, yes.
inserting
Please do.
insane thing just out of nowhere? Okay, I believe, if I recall correctly, it's towards the end of the book, like Annie is taking Paul into the basement to like hide him there because I think the cops are coming. She thinks the cops are going to come soon. And it's like towards the end of the book. And so Annie has to piggyback him. She like puts him on her back and takes him down the stairs.
Yeah.
And we get a description of Annie and how like, because at this point she's like not taking care of herself at all. She doesn't shower. She's not brushing her teeth. She's like gross, disgusting. And so we get a description of how she smells from Paul. And it's like, okay, yeah, oh, this is bad. She's so sweaty and gross. This is nasty. And then
Did you write this down?
Yeah, I wrote
You're
it down
pulling it.
because I like pause and because this is an example of what you're talking about, where he'll just like, yeah, okay, I get it, Steven. And then he'll just say the craziest
Detour.
thing you've ever heard. And it's like, why?
Are you gonna quote it?
Yes. Paul describes this, Stephen King describes the smell of Annie as smells of old sheets thick with dried cum.
Oh yes, I remember reading that and being like, what?
Bro.
I
It's
know.
crazy. Like you could just say she
You
smells
actually
really
did
bad.
not have to
you
say
didn't
that.
have to get that descriptive.
He loves
Bro.
being descriptive. If there's one thing about Stephen King is he loves a descriptive.
Yeah, he loves to
yes.
get descriptive.
I read that and I was like, surely that doesn't mean what I think it means. surely there's another definition of what I think he's trying to say, but no, that is, that's...
It's crazy because he's talking about the smell.
Yes.
He's talking, it smells like old sheets thick with dried cum. It's so gross.
Are we gonna have to... like censor that?
I don't know.
I hope not.
I don't think so.
Listen, if you're gonna read this book, it's not censored in it.
Yeah.
Neither is the hard R.
No,
Yeah.
no, it is not.
A little fun section I wanted to add is this versus that. So I'm gonna say two things, and I want you to think like the first, like what you would prefer, right? Like first thing that comes to your
Okay.
head, what do you prefer over the two options I give you?
Okay.
I don't want you to think too much about it, but I do want you to give a reason
Are these
why.
related to misery?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we both give our answers simultaneously, or do we go like?
Let's do one at a time
Yeah,
Okay.
for audio
You
purposes.
first.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess you'll have a chance to think on it a little
Yeah.
bit. So anyway, Michael,
Mm-hmm.
misery versus fast cars.
Are we talking? What do you like? Title of the book?
Like,
Or
which
just-
would you read?
Which would I read? Oh God. Honestly, Misery. Probably Misery.
Okay.
I was
I-
going to say fast cars.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
Because I mean, we are getting it from Paul's perspective, but like I was interested in what he was talking about, how he was like studying how to like break into cars and stuff like that. And also like I do kind of like a book where a character's swearing a bunch and has like a really distinct voice.
Very gritty.
Yeah, and like I'm with that, and I don't think in Misery, I think from the pages that we did read, I was just like I don't care
Ooh,
about
tomato,
this.
tomato. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. Did
No,
you have a
that's all good.
reason?
Did I have a reason?
Yeah.
First of all, I would never pick up a book called Fast Cars. I
Okay,
hate that
fair
title.
enough.
That
Yeah,
title
fair enough.
sucks. Listen, Paul. Paul, if you're listening,
What would you call fast cars?
something better. What is fast? It's
Cars.
just like
Just cars.
it's just such like a.
Lightning McQueen is
It just
Came up
sounds like
with
such
an
a
idea.
childish name. Like it'd be like.
yeah.
It'd be like naming a book like Big Dinosaurs. Like Fast Cars is just such like a dumb name
Well,
to
I-
me.
I think
I
the
laughed
fact-
every time he said it because he's talking about it so seriously. It's
Yeah.
like, this is my magnum opus. This is the best thing I've ever written. It's called Fast Cars. It's called Big Dinosaurs. I love this book, dude. I
fact
hate
that
the title.
His next book that he's gonna work on is about a skunk. I don't think he's a good writer.
This is goes back to were people looking for him?
That's yeah. I
Does he
don't
for
think
real
people
suck?
cared. I don't think people cared.
Because we also understand his biggest fan is Annie. is
Say about Paul.
yeah, somebody who has like
Your
dedicated
stalker
her
says
life.
something about you.
Yeah.
But then there was that woman that had like a whole room set up.
Yes.
That
That's
was
true.
like a set.
Speaking of things that I think are self-inserts, that has to be a story that
Yeah.
Stephen King
That
encountered.
kind of,
yeah.
I would believe that is a real story. I don't know, but like I agree with you. I feel like that could totally be, like, yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. It's like a story about some fan sends like a whole replica of like a room.
They replicate a room from
Yes.
Misery. Yeah.
Is it like
and they've sent
Misery's room?
photos and
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the kitchen or something.
And then
I
I think he
remember.
like replies once, and then she sends like 10 essays.
And then she
just, like-
removes her name at the very end.
Yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
you can't call me by my first name because
Yeah.
he stops responding to
Yeah,
her. She got offended. It's that parasocial thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, obviously, Virginia thought they were friends.
So next one. Would you rather have your foot cut off with an axe? Let me start that over.
Well, no.
Would you
We stopped right there.
would you rather have your foot cut off with an axe or hit with a hammer?
Hit with a hammer. Girl, what? Like,
I don't know. Maybe
although
y'all are crazy.
He does say, though, he's like, honestly, if I had my foot still at the end, when he gets the prosthetic foot, he's like, honestly, the doctor said it would hurt more if I didn't have a prosthetic foot. But also, like, I kind of like my foot.
Something to think about.
I'd probably go.
Or
guess
why are
if
you
I-
thinking about this?
Well, I'm thinking about in the moment how much it would hurt, and then afterwards.
She just cauterized the
She
wound.
does just cauterize it.
She lights him on fire.
Yeah.
So.
It's a tough one. I think probably hit with a hammer. Probably because then you could at least recover a little. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm just thinking of the bone shards.
Yes.
But he already has that with his leg, so maybe you wouldn't feel it as much.
Have you ever broken your ankle?
No.
So I have twisted my ankle, or I've like, what's it called when you
Sprain.
roll? Yeah, I've sprained my ankle twice. And it wasn't the worst. It sucked for sure, but like I would think I would survive breaking. I would not survive losing my foot.
Yeah. And she hits him like twice, I think.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
It was like
Fully.
once, and he's like, ah, and then she's like, one more. And then
Awful. But she breaks both of his ankles in the movie.
Yes. In the movie, it's
So
called-
Yes.
meanwhile, you're only getting one.
Yeah, but he gets to
chopped
keep
off.
his thumb in the movie.
That's so true.
True.
And it's like I do want my left thumb
It's nice. It's a nice
What
thing
if
to
you
have.
could never rock climb again?
Do you rock climb?
No, but like, what if
You
I could
want
never
that
do it
option.
again? I can't. Like, I cannot without my thumb. I went to a rock climbing wall.
What, dude? You can never rock climb without a thumb.
It's no, because my first thought was like, what if you can't grab things? I'm like, climbing a rock wall.
Yeah, for sure.
This is our next episode. Is we should go to a rock wall.
Oh my god, you're getting all these ideas.
What are these Patreon
Rock-
ideas? When we set up a Patreon, rock climbing.
Vote on what we should do.
Go to Bakersfield. Typewriting
Crew trip to
weightlifting
Bakersfield?
competition.
Oh no, we were gonna get you Dutch.
Oh,
Dutch Bros.
Dutch
Yeah.
Bros. Yeah. Whatever that is.
Those definitely.
It's just
are all in
Starbucks,
common.
but like,
Oh, it's a coffee.
There's so
yes,
many
yes,
options.
it's primarily a coffee place. They also have
Gotcha.
milkshakes. They also have like slushies.
It's like
It's just a
overwhelming
beverage.
the amount of things. they
Yeah,
have
it's like the
there.
biggest menu of a drink
Dude.
place I've ever seen.
That sounds actually amazing.
No, thank you. It is good. We should go.
I love me a cold beverage, like a smoothie.
Not sponsored by Dutch Bros,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if they
yeah.
wanted to jump
Dutch
in.
Bros, if
Hey.
you're listening.
Hey.
Dutch Bros?
All right, next one.
Hmm.
Sidewinder, Colorado versus Derry, Maine. Which would you rather live in?
What did you? Did you laugh at the way you said that? Oh.
I was laughing at your reaction.
I want you to go first on this one.
Oh my god, I don't even know anything about Derry, Maine.
I just feel like if you're not problematic, you're not
Bro.
gonna have an issue in either place.
Derry is where Pennywise is.
You're
Sidewinder
right.
is where the Overlook Hotel is. What would you rather deal with?
Oh,
Well, the
maybe that's
Overlook
what.
burns. Wait. Oh,
Oh, you're so right. Oh, you're so
I don't know
right.
if I can say that. Huge spoiler warning.
Well, they
for a
say it in the
different
book.
Yeah.
They say it in.
Yeah, that's true.
Misery.
It's in Misery that the Overlook burns down.
So what
I
do you
think
call-
that the Overlook. I love The Shining. I think I would love to visit the Overlook. I would be okay with dying in the Overlook, like being a spirit there.
Fair.
So for that reason, I'm thinking Colorado.
Okay.
I was leaning towards Colorado because I feel like Maine. I don't want to be in Maine, dude. East Coast. Get out of here, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Maine's probably beautiful though, but both
probably
places have good seasons, which
Yeah,
we don't get.
we don't
here.
get. Yeah.
we don't get here.
We don't get.
Subscribe so that we can get better seasons.
We can move and go somewhere else.
to Sidewinder.
Okay, this one's nasty.
You
Okay,
first.
this is our final. This versus that.
Okay.
y'all. Eat a finger birthday cake versus
Forgot about that.
versus Annie's congealed gravy boat.
That's crazy.
Wait. I think I'm not remembering the finger birthday cake.
She puts his finger that she cuts off on a cake.
Yes.
Does he eat it in the book?
I don't think he eats the finger.
So would I have to eat the finger? Or am I eating the cake that the finger was in?
I think you're eating the whole thing.
Well, if I'm eating on my own finger, then obviously whatever the other option is.
Nasty ass gravy.
The congealed
Yes.
gravy boat that's been there for days.
I'm okay with that in comparison to my own finger. I don't
know
know.
why-
I don't want to find out what
Yeah.
my flesh tastes like. Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, if you were not eating the finger.
Oh, then I would eat the cake.
Good to
That
know.
seems
There's a
pretty
little,
obvious.
like,
That seems
hint
like-
of my blood. Like, okay, that's okay.
You're fine with that.
If I'm eating my bones, am I eating my bones?
I guess in this hypothetical.
You
Like,
could
no,
like,
yeah,
you
I
could
don't
like
wanna do
chicken
that.
wing it. You could like eat the like.
I don't
around
even
the
like
bone.
I don't even love chicken wings. So like that's
Same.
not appealing to me.
You got a different answer?
I'm gonna go with the gravy. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've never eaten my finger before. Maybe it'd be cool. Like try it out. I don't know. It could be fun.
Well, if you don't have to eat your finger, you're just eating the cake.
Well, then eat the cake.
Yeah,
That's pretty obvious,
exactly.
dude. I feel like. Do I get to
Have
wash
you
it down with
answered any of
Pepsi or
these?
Coke?
Oh, so
What-
true.
What do I get to drink with it? Pepsi or Coke?
Well, you would go with Annie's specialty, which is
Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Oh, no, I'm okay. Like, well,
Pepsi's fine.
what if you have to wash it down with like soapy water? Like that's the
Oh, the nasty
Ooh.
bucket.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the bucket. He
that
has
one
to
was
do.
atrocious. Honestly, like starting out with that one was good. Shout out King for that one. That was like a ew, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Really geared us up for the rest of the
Yeah.
Would you rather drink the,
Prepped us.
the nasty clean bucket, or would you rather
Is
have
there
to?
bleach in there?
There's some kind of cleaning thing.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. Yeah, it is something. I forget what it is.
So poison or
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if it was bleach. I don't think that was ever.
Well, he drinks it. He's fine.
obviously, yeah.
Would you rather drink that or
Pepsi.
lick an old sheet thick?
Oh,
dry?
stop! This is why I make this versus
Yeah,
that.
no, you're banned.
You're never
Pick
getting a
one.
chance to do that
Wait,
again.
would
You're
you?
getting kicked out of the chat for that one.
Oh my god.
You don't have to answer. Fine.
Yeah, no. I
Tessa,
won't.
which one would you do?
Which one? For some reason, I can't imagine. I think I would. The gravy boat grosses me out.
Really? You have like a visceral reaction.
I don't like the texture. The fact that it's just.
So
I
you
guess,
would eat your own
congealed.
finger.
I don't know. I feel like that'd be easier. I feel like I could not get the gravy.
What about you're gonna look me in the eyes right now, and you're gonna tell me that you would eat your own fingernail.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I could not get the gravy down.
Okay, fine.
Take with that what you will.
But you
Okay.
could get the finger down.
Maybe.
It is this or that. This is the segment. So
I know. I was asking you guys. I don't want to.
You're like taking notes, like which one? Next episode, Sam has to eat a cake with her finger in it.
Keeping that in the noggin for next time. Anyway, that's our episode, y'all.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's it? That was the last of them?
Any final?
That was the it.
Like
That was the it?
That was the it.
that was the it. That's we'll do the it in a
We'll
few
do the
episodes.
it a bit.
That was good. Wow, did you mean to do that?
Oh, I need you to understand I don't mean to do anything. It just comes out of my
That
mouth.
was really nice. We'll see you next time we do the bit and the it, or it and the bit.
God damn it. So in the next episode, we're going to be covering My Best Friend's Exorcism. So make sure to
Ooh.
check out the book, check out the movie if you feel like it. And follow us on @DreadfulDigestPod on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, keep following us. We'll update you guys on there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks. I love you.
We can cut it there.